Toastmaster Anshuman started with a very brilliant aspect of human mind versus AI, a topic that every one of us will relate. So, commendation to you, Toastmaster Anshuman, for starting with a topic that is one relatable and also matches to the theme. That was brilliant in terms of matching a theme to your speech title itself. The beauty that I found in your speech specifically was on the content, and you will all realize why a content in a story is very important. We started with a brilliant content wherein then you started giving data points. And the data points started with 8 billion neurons that a human has. The AI can outclass the human mind but may not be able to outclass the parameters that a human mind is able to do. Then you brought in an example of Stephen Hawking also. And then throughout your speech, that content element kept on coming, which I think engaged and intrigued the audience that what you are speaking is not just out of the blue and some AI has not prepared it. You have backed it up with a data point. And I think that's a brilliant part of storytelling, that the audience should know that what the speaker is speaking on the stage, he has done some part of his homework. So data-backed stories are something that anybody likes. And even if there is no humor, little humor, or say very good humor, if it is backed by data, the story would always resonate in people's mind, like with the parameters that you have. You also kind of brought in the HBO series aspect. So content-wise, your speech was brilliant. Then followed the structure. The structure was so very beautiful, and that's an efficient part of storytelling, that you spoke about content, great content, and so that it doesn't get heavy on the people, you immediately brought a element which was, I would call it ebbs in the flow. The ebb of this was, you brought in an element that I asked a riddle to my daughter. And when you do that, when you kind of start intriguing the audience as well, that's saying that, okay, you throw up a question in between, the heaviness of the topic then dissolves, so that the audience also kind of gains interest back into the speech. So I think the ebb and the flow in your speech was throughout, which is very important part of storytelling as well. You then continued again with loading it up with data when you mentioned about that human brain can learn from exposure, whereas AI learns from data. And these points then started making the speech of the way a story is to be told. Back it up with good content, bring in a part of the humor or with a good set, then back it up with data again so that the audience interest again comes into it, and you then ended your speech on a humorous note while saying if it is good, then it is Anshuman. If you didn't like it, sorry, blame it on the AI. And that's how a brilliant story structure is formed. But Toastmaster Anshuman, having said that, I have a few recommendations for you, and I'll talk about two of them. The first one is on the impact. When you have to create an impact in such a powerful speech, you can always start with a starting question. You started with just explaining about what a human and AI is. You could have done something different, like saying that, okay, how many of you out here know that AI is actually killing human data points? And when you do that, the audience would be interested to say that, okay, probably your speech will bring in certain elements from somewhere. And that's how then you start with your base story point to say that, no, I'm going to negate all of it and I'll show you why the data contents are. The second feedback that I have is in terms of probably the structure can be marinated with what you speak on the stage. When you started here and the part of the speech which was here, to make it more impactful and meaningful, you can then keep on moving the stage and then intriguing the audience. You come out here and say that, by the way, do you know, I asked the riddle to my daughter, and what did she say? And then the second example that you do is you come out here and, okay, and by the way, what do you think about what would your answer be? Rather than keeping it centrally isolated here, then it becomes more like a speech which you are giving for a consumption but not engagement. That's the other minor recommendation that I have. Having said that, I think beautiful content. It was so very thoughtful, full of data points. There is a very good structure into the story. And if you can work on these two minor improvements, I'm looking forward to another joint meeting and wherein you may deliver a brilliant speech, another brilliant speech like this. The beauty for me, the brownie for me remains in the story when you said about aligned AI, non-aligned AI, I was not aware of it, and the artificial super intelligence, I was not aware of it. So take away for me as well. Over to you.